Why do you think that you belted me?
I think I belted you, bro. Because even after I fucking got like restricted, bro, for arguments, you still got belted. Like you still weren't able to respond.
What
Like
was I not
genuine
able
shit.
to respond to?
Shit related to the value and how I got to the value of the fetus. You know what I'm saying? But
So what was
do
the
you wanna
specific
have a
claim?
rebate? Do
So
you
what
wanna
was
have a
the?
rebate?
I don't think that you're hearing me. What was the specific claim in which you were
I'm hearing you. You're not
unable to
answering my
respond to?
question.
Oh, it seems like you're
I
not
don't know why you're
answering
not
my
answering my
question.
question.
I don't know why
I
you're not
answered your
answering
question.
my
I just
question.
asked a question or
Seems
two.
like
I
I
answered
it
three
seems like
questions.
well, actually, it
Yeah,
seems like you
you
did.
asked three questions.
I
I
can
answered all
explain.
three.
I can
Can you
explain to you
like
why it's the case it's
can
false.
you answer my question, bro?
I
Can
can
you answer my
explain to you why
question?
it's the case it's false. So the reason why it's the case.
I didn't really care about that. I just want an answer to the question, bro. Not gonna lie.
Oh, okay. So
That's
you
all
don't care
good,
that you
bro.
don't
That's
answer
all
my
good.
question?
But like, I would like an answer to the
Oh,
question, bro.
well, the reason why it's not all good is because you just dodged the question.
Hey, good sir. Can I get an answer to the question, man?
Okay, so you're just going to completely ignore the fact that I asked a question first and you still refuse to answer it?
Oh no, I answered three of your questions that you asked, quote unquote, first, but I didn't get an answer to my question.
Oh, yeah, I can
So can I
explain
get
to
an
you why
answer to the
that's
question?
false. So the reason
No,
why it's
hey,
false
bro,
is
dude,
you
that's
answered
not,
the question.
that's obviously
Oh,
true.
wait.
But hey, go
So
ahead.
just to clarify, you're not even going to allow me to explain to you the reason why it's false that you did not answer my question?
No, I answered three questions before. I don't know if you asked some question that I maybe, quote unquote, didn't answer, but I asked my question.
So I think that's false, and B, I think the last thing that you said was also false when you said that you answered my question. So my question was, on what specific point do you think that you belted me on? And then you just said, well, the reasons why I think that the fetus is valuable. Okay, well, the question more so is asking you to specifically specify the argument which you made with specific reasons that I was not able to respond to.
And I asked a question before that. Maybe you didn't hear me. It's all good. I asked it a question before that on whether you want to have a re-debate, and I didn't get an answer to the question. Even though my question was way simpler, it was just a yes or no. But it is all good.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I'm down to entertain a little bit of a conversation right now. I mean, I'm about to be on my way to get some food and go to the gym, but like,
Yeah.
I have a couple minutes here. That sounds fun. So it seems like
That
now that
sounds
I've
right,
answered
sure.
your question, can you answer mine?
Yeah. To list the reasons. Well, I think that the reasons were I proposed a certain case of hypotheticals. The one of the hypotheticals was relating to the coma patients. It was related to yeah. First one was the coma patient. That one was the main. I don't think we got over that one, but I had like another one prepared, but I wasn't able to get it out because I got dropped.
Okay, so just to clarify, so the last thing that you said when I first asked you the question, what did you belt me on? You responded by saying the reasons why I value the fetus. And now that I've asked you to specify those reasons, you're saying a hypothetical about a coma patient. So do you think that any metaphysically possible
No, that's not what I
hypothetical about a
said.
coma patient would serve as sufficient reason for the pro-life theory?
That's not what I said though.
Okay, so then what did you say?
What I said was that through these, that I proposed some hypotheticals that give us certain intuitions that fetus is valuable. And if you want me to run you back through the conversation, I can also answer why that was relevant.
Oh, yeah,
right?
so
But
what
I don't think
hypotheticals?
you remember that convo though.
So what hypotheticals do you think serve as like reason by parity that a fetus would be valuable?
Well, in that certain conversation, I thought that coma patient was one of the quote unquote successful hypotheticals because it gives a certain intuition that fetuses or being able to display the future experiences, is what would give them the moral value. That's something that I ran for that specific conversation because that I had like a restricted amount of arguments. But if you want to, do you want to continue with that, or do you want to go another conversation?
Well, sure, yeah, I could just ask you a question about that. I'm really
Sure,
not familiar with the future like ours argument, but I think that there's maybe a couple issues with it. So, first and foremost, are you vegan?
I'm kind of agnostic on that because I haven't seen like a good argument for veganism except like some NTT stuff, and I wasn't really interested in any of that.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That's a fine answer. That's a fine answer. So, what goods in the future of a fetus do you think make it wrong to kill it?
Yeah, so the reason why I believe that and by the way, I'm not running anything like maybe I'm running something similar, but I'm not specifically running future like ours. That's something that I want to specify. But I think that the future valuable future experiences, I believe that something is going to be valuable or just a sufficient condition for value, for the reason that when I'm thinking of like current experiences and when I'm thinking of like what would make an experience valuable in general, it is going to be like a certain set of whether good experiences or is going to relate to experiences of like feeling pain, feeling happiness, utility, and every single time I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking that on all kinds of like I'm thinking of that like in all timelines. I'm thinking that that's like valuable in a past sense. I'm thinking of that as valuable in a present sense, but I also applied it to the future sense because I do believe that all of the timelines are going to be equally real, past, present, and future, then the the experience in the future is going to be equally real to the experience that is happening right now. So I don't think there should be any reason for it to be less valuable than the experience that I'm feeling right now. And I do believe that you would also hold at least a similar position that like current experiences would be valuable, at least to some degree.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying. So the question that I asked you, well, what goods are in the future of the fetus that you find valuable? And you reduced it down to feeling pain and feeling happiness. Do you agree that certain non-human animals, such as pigs, can feel pain and can feel happiness?
Well, I do believe that they could. I do believe that some like animals, like pigs, yeah, I do believe that they can feel pain and happiness. But like,
Does this mean
they,
that pigs would meet your sufficient condition for intrinsic moral value, similar to that of a fetus?
well, there could be like sufficient, like, yeah, that sufficient condition. Maybe they do meet it, but that doesn't like
Okay,
automatically
so then
mean
are you
that,
agnostic on the
like,
value of the fetus too? Because earlier when I asked you if you were for your thoughts on veganism, you said that you're agnostic on veganism, but now you're saying that pigs would meet the same sufficient condition for value that a fetus would. So if you're agnostic on the wrongness of killing a pig, and the fetus would meet the same sufficient condition for value as a pig, this would imply that you're also agnostic on the wrongness of killing a fetus, unless the fetus were to meet other conditions for like more value.
yeah, I do. I also listed out other sufficient conditions in our last debate. If you do remember any of that debate, I don't think you
Wait.
did. I think that's justified. But
Wait, actually, I'm going to rephrase the last thing I said. The last thing I said was wrong. Okay. Actually, no, it is the case that because, under your view, pigs do meet a sufficient condition for value, yet you still don't think it's wrong to kill a pig. Well, then why are you arguing that because the fetus meets this or other sufficient conditions for values, it's therefore wrong to kill the fetus? You have an explicit contradiction in your view. The explicit contradiction in your view, P and not P, would be that you're affirming that when a sufficient condition for value is met, then it's wrong to kill the thing in which meets that condition. And not P, when a sufficient condition for value is met, it's not necessarily wrong to kill the life of the thing in which meets that sufficient condition. So yeah, as it stands, there's an explicit contradiction in your view.
okay, so I have to clarify something real quick because you've been going with like the pain and happiness. That's something that I've named as an example of like what an experience is.
No, that
Right.
wasn't. That's
Pain-
false. That's false. My question was not.
That
please give me an
isn't really
example.
false.
I'll
I
explain to you how
gave
that's
you
false.
that was an example.
I'll explain to you how that's false.
That isn't false.
Okay, well, then
do you
you
know
just
how
didn't
I
answer my
know that
question.
that's not false? Because in the previous conversation me and you had, those weren't the main reasons for why not only I believe future experiences are valuable, but also why I believe that a fetus is valuable at all.
Wait.
Like I was
let me
referring
explain
to more things than just like
Okay.
pain, happiness, and that was just examples like form of utility.
Yeah. So let me explain to you why
understand
let me explain to you why this is wrong. So you're actually changing the question that I asked you to make it seem as if you're not losing the argument. So the question that I asked you was not, can you just name a handful of the experiences in the future of the fetus? But my question was rather, well, could you please explain to me the ethically salient goods in the future of the fetus in which would meet the sufficient criteria of giving it intrinsic moral value? So to clarify, either you were not listening to the question that I asked you, and instead of telling me the ethically salient goods in the future of the fetus that gives it intrinsic moral worth, you just said, well, here are some descriptively true experiences in the future of the fetus that are relevant to to a moral evaluation on if it has intrinsic moral worth. So do you want to try to either answer the question again and just like concede that was an error?
Well, that obviously wasn't an error, right? Me giving you an example of like a certain experience to show to give you an example of like a future valuable experience is why I would think that it is valuable. Just in that certain example doesn't mean that like I either named you the full reason or that I named the reason at all. Right? I just gave you a certain example, right? So you can actually get the picture of like why I think, for example, that something would be valuable, but that doesn't mean I give you the reason to why I actually think it's valuable. Right? So I don't think that's actually an error. But like
this is actually another error. Right now, you're committing another error. The error that you're now committing right now
Okay,
is by arguing that I did not ask you for the goods in the future of the fetus, and which would like cause the fetus to meet the sufficient condition of possessing intrinsic moral value. So, okay, listen, we're just gonna put the errors aside. Let's go back to the question: what are the goods in the future of the fetus in which cause the fetus to meet the sufficient condition for moral value?
Well, if you're just like, okay, sure. If me and you mean the same thing, I hope we do. Because for some reason, I have like a very weird intuition that we don't mean the same thing. I believe that like the stuff relating to the future experience, I think that at least how I mentioned it before, I was relating to also not just stuff like pain, happiness, and those other sort of experiences. I was also referring to stuff like reason, like emotional intelligence, and sort of relating to the other mental states and other mental faculties, right? That I do believe that not only make us make us part human, but also make us like a part, not just give like a sort of moral value, but also that's the thing that allows us to give other things more value, set moral standards, and do a lot of other things within normative ethics. That are even remotely relevant to how we do anything normatively. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah,
But
sure. Listen,
actually-
I think that that's a much better answer to the question. I think that you were like a little bit unclear. I think that you said reason, emotional intelligence, and then other mental states and other mental faculties. I think that that was a little bit vague, but like I generally do accept the answer. I understand what you're saying. You know, there's like these valuable future experiences in the fetus, and these future experiences are like conducive towards intellect, the ability to reason, the thing in which allows us to engage in normativity in the first place and set moral standards, so on and so forth. So here's my question to you. Well, like let's just assume a hypothetical where we know that this fetus is going to be born, but they're going to be born with a rare genetic defect that's going to cause them to die at around 2 to 3 years old. Now, the reason why I say this is going to cause them to die at around 2 to 3 years old is because at the age of around 2 to 3, they possess similar faculties of reason to like the average adult pig, which you would clearly reject as being able to engage in normativity, per the fact that you said that you are like agnostic on vegan ethics, or at least you don't know if they can engage in normativity. So my question for you would be, in this hypothetical, would it be wrong for this woman to get an abortion due to the fact that the future goods of the fetus are at least not sufficient from your perspective for intrinsic moral value?
So first, the answer to the question of like, is like, sorry, to get clear on the question, is the question like related to something like, would it be okay for like a woman to get abortion in that case, or like, what are you trying to relate this to, like some more?
Oh
moral
yeah, no,
value?
the question is, in the case that I just gave you, if you needed me to repeat it, feel free to ask. Would it be wrong for that woman to get an abortion? Or very similarly, because the future goods of that fetus are identical to that of the average adult pig, would you yield the same conclusion that you would in the case of the average adult pig and argue that you're just like agnostic on the wrongness of that killing?
Well, like if I just know for a fact that like the baby, like is the case like baby is like gonna like be unalived at the age of like 2 or 3, given like some defect, like
Oh
health
wow.
defect.
Yeah, so seemingly like just asking me about the stipulations I made in hypothetical. So maybe you weren't listening or you weren't able to track or I didn't like communicate it the best. So I'll just
No,
repeat
I'm
it.
sorry, I bugged out. I
Yeah, bro,
wasn't
you're
able to
good.
hear all that.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. So yeah, this fetus possesses genetic defects in which will cause it to die from natural causes at around the age of 2 to 3. Meaning that the future goods of this fetus would be identical to that of the average adult pig. That's also a stipulation in the hypothetical. One last time, you argue that the future goods of the average adult pig do not meet your sufficient conditions for value. In fact, you'd be agnostic on if it would be wrong to kill the average adult pig. So the question is, would you thereby also be agnostic on if it's wrong to kill this fetus?
I can say that like, okay, so related to those kind of experiences, I'm also gonna be agnostic on that, like whether like if like in this hypothetical specifically, I'm agnostic whether a woman is gonna be able to give an abortion.
Yeah.
But if
You're gonna be
you are
agnostic
then
on
trying
that?
to ask me, yeah, I'm gonna be agnostic on that.
Okay. Can I tell you why that's a massive blunder?
Well, sure you can, but I can tell you why it's not like when you're done.
Let me tell you the reason why it is first, because there's a specific reason why I asked you if you'd be okay with the abortion in that circumstance. Because I honestly expected you to say that you'd be agnostic. Why? Because that doesn't seem like a crazy bullet to bite, right? Like clearly this wouldn't account for like a majority of abortions. This would account for like sub 1% of abortions. This wouldn't actually push the pro-choice theory in the slightest. So of course I expected you to bite that bullet. But the issue is you're not just biting the bullet that you'd be agnostic on the wrongness of killing the fetus in utero, but you're also saying that you'd be agnostic on the wrongness of killing that fetus once it's born, and it's like a 1.5-year child. So just like assume that this woman never got an abortion. Okay, now this newborn is still gonna die at like 2 years old. Okay, and it's like 1.5 years old now, and then this mother just like tweaks out, grabs a pillow, and strangles this 1.5-year-old to death. What additional reason would you have to argue that you'd be agnostic on that killing that you wouldn't possess to be agnostic on the killing of the fetus?
Yeah, it's just gonna be like certain intuitions that I hold to because of like ethical beliefs.
Why would
With,
it?
with ethical beliefs.
Okay, so just to clarify, you're saying that there's other reasons that you would have to be not non-agnostic on the killing of that newborn. So why would those reasons not apply to the fetus? Because you're saying that you would be agnostic on the wrongness of killing the fetus, but you wouldn't be agnostic on the wrongness of killing the newborn. So why would these additional ethical reasons apply to the newborn but not apply to the fetus?
Yeah, I just told you because of certain intuitions that I call to related to the case of like the two, like 1.5 year old fetus and not 1.5 year old, sorry, baby and the fetus.
Break those intuitions down to me.
Yeah, so let's just take it like that there is a case, right, that on one, like I have two options, right? On one option, I unalive a pig, right, that you want to bring up so much, and I have like an option to unalive a baby, right, that you said is like 1.5 year old, right?
Remember, oh my goodness, Blender, I'm not asking you to compare the pig to the baby. I'm asking you to compare the newborn to the fetus.
I think that like it's not just intuitive to me. At least that's how I feel. Like I don't know the actual statistics.
I'm asking you to
but
unpack those
intuitive
intuitions. Why can you not unpack those intuitions though?
Yeah, because I think they're irreducible.
Well, I'm just asking you.
Intuitions like
I'm just basically, dude. I'm just giving you to like explain these intuitions with us in word. Like specifically, what is the intuition about? Is the intuition about the age of the newborn? Is the intuition about the way in which the newborn looks? Is the intuition about like something else? Like I'm not asking you if the intuition is irreducible. I'm asking you like literally what the intuition is. Like what is the intuition referring to in the comparison of this fetus to the newborn that yields a conclusion in the case of the newborn that it would be wrong, but in the case of a fetus it wouldn't be wrong. That's the question I'm asking you. Unpack the intuitions.
If then in the sense of unpack intuitions, like as you said, like what's the intuition about? If that's just going to be referring to the conclusion that it is supposed to entail, that's going to be a tracking error because I have specified that already. But if you're just referring to like what kind of like gives this intuition, I just told you that that's irreducible. So that's going to be like I don't know like specifically whatever you're like choosing. I think it's specifically like gonna be like a blunder or like a tracking error. But like I can go with either.
I can explain to you why
that's completely fine.
I can explain to you why that's false.
You're gonna like what's false? Is that it's a blunder?
Yeah, you're accusing me of a blunder because I'm asking you what specifically the intuition is about. That's not a blunder in the slightest. Because when you just like generally tell me that you have this intuition that it'd be wrong in the case of the newborn, but it wouldn't be wrong in the case of a fetus, I'm just asking you specifically what is that intuition about? Like, are you arguing that the intuition that you're holding is about the way that the newborn looks? Are you arguing that the way that the intuition in which you're holding is about like just this intuitional seeming in which you possess that would entail the conclusion that the newborn would have intrinsic moral value, but the fetus
It's
wouldn't?
just like it's just like a seem. It's just like a form of intuition or a seeming.
Yeah,
that,
but
like,
related to
when
what?
compared to cases in
But it
what do
related
you
to
mean
what is
related
the
to what?
question I'm asking?
What do you mean related to what? Like, what
Okay.
are the properties that give me such intuitions? Again, I tell you
No,
that's irreducible.
no, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to reduce your intuition in an epistemological sense. I'm asking you just to describe to us what your intuition is specifically about. Is it about the aesthetic value of the newborn? Are you saying that that would be the normative reason that this intuition is guiding that until it's a conclusion that it's wrong in the case of the newborn, that would not be true in the case of a fetus? Because basically, what I want to do here is I want to put your intuition under scrutiny. But before I can put your intuition under scrutiny, I need to know what your intuition is about. Is it about aesthetic value that the newborn possesses that the fetus doesn't possess? Is the intuition about instrumental value that the newborn possesses that the fetus doesn't possess? Is the intuition about intrinsic moral value that the newborn would possess that the fetus wouldn't possess? Because when you just say that you have an intuition that would guide your conclusion in the second case, that it's wrong, that would not be true in the first case, well, I'm just like, where is the intuition guiding in that process? That's what I'm asking you.
I mean, I don't think it's like anything related. Again, I don't know how many times I have to repeat this, but I don't know whether the thing like is like going to be an aesthetic property or an experience or like some intrinsic value. Because again, I'm telling you that intuitions are irreducible. Like you don't know what is giving the intuition. The same way you don't know what's giving you like a desire to do certain things.
Listen, you're
Right?
confusing
Those
yourself.
things are irreducible. I don't know what you're specifically confused about.
You're confusing yourself, bro. Okay, you're confusing yourself. So when we talk about things being irreducible, we're talking about them being irreducible in a epistemological sense. So you can further ground them in anything else, right? Okay. The B, that's just also like false about intuitions, or reducible to your cognitive faculties. But besides the point. C, I'm not asking you to reduce your intuition in the sense, well, what is it grounded in? No, that's not the question that I'm asking you. The question that I'm asking you is just simply what the intuition is about, because it seems to be the case you're just simply asserting
Okay, so
that this is the case because you believe it to be so. Like, did you get hit by the fucking intuition EMP? Like, I think you're just getting hit by the intuition EMP.
There's kind of like few wrong things there. So one, epistemologically, I do, like whether the thing is going to be reducible like to you epistemologically, like I probably am then going to share a different view. Plus, not all views are going to entail that it's not going to be something which is irreducible. So I don't know why like who you are talking to about that. And the second thing related to thing grounding intuitions, well, if I do take them to be irreducible, the same way I take, like, for example, desires to be irreducible, as like I already gave an example that you probably didn't hear because you don't actually like hear stuff very often, then it is definitely going to be the case that I don't have to know what is the thing that is giving me such intuitions, or whether there's even a thing that gives like the certain intuition at all. I'm just saying that like when I have a certain intuition about something, I like, given my metaethical frameworks, I do believe that that's going to be something which is going to give me a reason to believe a certain thing is wrong, or a certain action is going to be wrong. Sorry, and whether a certain thing has a moral value or doesn't have a moral value. Right. The same goes for the cases of what's called the pig stuff. Like that you wanted to do with veganism or whatever. The same goes with the cases of fetus and whatever.
I get it, bro. All right, bro. Seems like you're just not going to engage in the question about what the intuition is about. And you're also not going to engage in any counter-argumentation to the claim that I'm making, that I'm not asking you to reduce the intuition, but just share more about it. That's fine. Do you agree that intuitions are diffusible?
Wait, repeat the question so I didn't hear.
Do you agree that moral intuitions are diffusible?
What do you mean by diffusible?
When I say that something's diffusible, I'm saying that it can be defeated. Like intuitions don't give us like this property of like knowledge in a claim in this non-diffusible sense where they can't be defeated under scrutiny. So the question that I'm asking you is, do you agree that moral intuitions can be defeated under scrutiny?
And by scrutiny you meant what? Sorry?
Yeah, like seeing, so when I say putting a moral intuition under scrutiny, I'm talking about placing that intuition under pressure in the epistemic domain, where we would like look at two scenarios. Maybe this intuition is guiding you to the case in the first scenario that it'd be like wrong to engage in an action, but then like we would epistemically compare it to like a second action that like seems to like share like.
Yeah, I think that depends on the case.
I think
it depends on the case.
Wait, so just clarify, the question I'm asking is moral intuitions are feasible, and you're saying it depends on the case?
Yeah, I believe that there's like there's at least one case where like intuition could be more like the intuition could be defeasible. Sorry, like sure, maybe like in the cases of like epistemic facts. But if you're asking me like if you're like for example like the cases of empirical facts, I think that that's like a case where like intuitions like can be defeasible. But if you're asking me like for broadly, that's probably not in most cases.
Okay, yeah, no, this will be easy. Go ahead and define what you mean by moral intuition, because I'm telling you, there's literally not one person in the literature that agrees with you. That it's just in some cases moral intuitions are defeasible. No, moral intuitions by definition would be defeasible.
I thought you said intuitions generally. I thought you said intuitions generally.
I mean, it would. Yes, that would be true. But just define what you think a moral intuition is, bro. Like, welcome to varsity, man. Welcome to varsity. This shit's free. Why are you going to tell us what a moral intuition is?
Like, do you want me to give you like a semantic reduction, like a definition?
Yeah,
what are you asking me for?
I just want you to tell us what you mean by a moral intuition.
It's just gonna be conjunction of two words. Like, what? What are you so confused about? What the hell?
Okay, so you can't tell me what you think a moral intuition is. So I can tell you what I think a moral intuition is. I was like, I take an intuition to be a non-doxastic attitude with either propositional, esoteric, or relational content that's not
Yeah,
true fact. Okay, and within like the moral domain, it's just gonna be like a non-doxational, non-doxastic attitude with representational, propositional, or esoteric content that's not true fact. Okay, and typically the way that we understand why in the literature, like intuitions can serve
sorry,
as
I
justification
didn't.
for belief.
Did I have to just stop you there? Well, what is?
Quickly before you guys continue, hold on.
By the way, I didn't mean to say non-doxational. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh yeah. So we're just gonna get some closings quickly. Okay. So we're gonna get after this response, maybe one more, and then just both of you give your closing if you guys are cool with that.
Yep.
Freer, you cool with that?
Sure.
All right.
Wait, do we get like? Wait, what do you say? Do we get a few more responses and then we go to closing?
Yeah. Do like maybe 1, 2 more responses, and then just do.
Yeah. No, that's what I thought I heard. I'm kind of lagging here, but anyways, Dean or Anthony or whatever I call you. I don't know how you want to be called on this account, but do you want like I don't think I heard you fully on what you meant by intuition in a moral sense, but like yeah, you take the center of kind of like what intuition is, I guess. So you're probably like the only issue that I have there is that's literally the same thing I said. It's literally just gonna be conjunction of like the two words and what they're generally going to mean, and you're just gonna put them together. So I don't know why you even went down that whole route. But even in those cases, like if a person is ethical intuition, is that they're obviously like going to be justified in believing that morality is going to be something which is dependent on intuitions, or the certain intuition that a person has. That's something that also a lot of like moral non-naturalists hold to, and I was a moral non-naturalist for like God knows how long. It's still a similar view that I hold to now. So I don't know why you have so many issues with like me holding to this kind of intuition, or why do you think that like me having like moral intuition is gonna be like unjustified or whatever? I think that's like even under account how I take like intuitions relating to the moral domain. I think that might even be gibberish, but I don't know. Like if there's anything else you want to add, I don't think you're speaking like anything that's like meaningful to my views.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm just going to go to get my closing. So first things first, you actually just said that you hold on to these two possible different views, or you have in the past. A, they're the same view. That was a blunder. B, you told me that my account of what a moral intuition is would be different from your account of what a moral intuition, or would be the same as your account of what a moral intuition is. And you said that you don't understand why I gave my account after you gave yours. B, that's also a blunder because you actually never gave an account of what you think a moral intuition is. You just kind of said, like, what do you want me to do? So you just kind of like became stunlocked. No, becoming like stunlocked in response to a question about what you think a moral intuition is actually not telling me what you think a moral intuition is. So that was a major blunder. C, the third thing, you accused me of arguing that maybe it's like unjustified to like use moral intuitions for some justification for basic moral beliefs. C, that was also a massive blunder. I literally never said that's the case. The reason why I was interrogating you about what you think a moral intuition is because you said that you think it's true in at least one scenario that a moral intuition would be defeasible. The reason why this caused me to ask you what you think an intuition is because like if you agree with the standard literature that an intuition is this non-doxastic attitude with certain content in it that's not true fact, well, like the only way that this could possibly serve as justification for basic beliefs in the epistemic domain or basic moral beliefs in the normative domain is if you added on a defeasibility condition. Because if you don't add on a defeasibility condition, somebody could just fucking choke slam you to the ground in like sub 3 seconds by just saying, what if in two individuals hold like the same intuition but come to two different beliefs? Okay, well clearly because at least one of those individuals is going to be engaging in improper reasoning, and the fact that they're engaging in improper reasoning would serve as the defeasibility for the intuition. So okay, I guess we'll add for the intuition serving as justification for the belief. Okay, so that's like your fourth big blunder. Now the fifth big blunder here was earlier when you told me that you do indeed hold this intuition that it would be wrong to kill this newborn, that it wouldn't be wrong, that wouldn't entail the conclusion that it's wrong to kill that same fetus. Well, the reason why I think that was a blunder is because if we were to put that under scrutiny in the epistemic domain, I don't think that you could put me towards any relevant distinction between the fetus and between the newborn that would yield the conclusion that it's wrong in one case but not wrong in the other, meaning that we have placed that intuition under scrutiny, meaning that intuition has failed to serve as justification for the moral belief, meaning that you concede the claim and either concede that you think it's okay to fucking brutally slaughter a newborn, or concede your pro-life argument as a whole and go back to the drawing board and come up with a new one. That's my closing statement, my friend.
Damn. That was a good debate, guys.
Can I give a closing?
Oh, that wasn't. Oh, sorry. I thought you gave it already. Go ahead. I thought that was the closing.
No, I didn't give a closing. I promise I didn't give like a closing. You said that I have like one more response, and I used that response.
Okay,
but anyways, there was like you tried to use big words that I don't think you can actually pronounce. So you can look like you actually made like a good argument or like a good closing statement. But I don't think like when a person is like having moral intuitions, I don't think they're justifying anything within other than anything within moral domain. Like when it comes to like other normative domains or epistemic domains. So you were just using big words to actually like try to make like a good point, hoping that like you make like a coherent sentence. So I don't know why you did that. But like I don't think. But wait.
You just said that we justify intuitions.
You
don't justify intuitions.
You had your closing. Wait, you had your closing. Wait, what is this? You had your closing. What the hell? Anyways,
yeah, you're right,
anyways, all good, bro. I forgive you. But anyways, I just want to say that first, you said that I didn't actually give any account of like what a moral intuition is. And then when I asked you like what did you actually want, like a semantic reduction or a definition, not only do you not have a clear answer, but I just told you that you can take it like literally you can just take it as a conjunction of the two words, and you can still get it like the same thing you were actually referring to. So I don't know like why you even wanted to go down there, but I don't know, like maybe you have like your reasons. Two, just because I didn't give you a divisibility condition, that doesn't mean that either A, the view is going to be unjustified, or B, that like intuitions don't justify like moral claims. Actually, like as I said before, which you probably didn't hear, a lot of moral non-naturalists actually do take the ethical intuitionism as one of the suppositions within their views, right? And just because I didn't outline a divisibility condition doesn't mean that the view is still going to fall apart. Three, I think that like even if we do take the account of like ethical intuitionism and moral non-naturalism, that is like that can perfectly account for the two things or the two hypotheticals that were brought up, like the unalignment of the fetus and the unalignment of like a 1.5-year-old or whatever, and that like there wouldn't be any issue relating to the intuitions that I had. Now, when you said like related to the there could be like a case where two people have like intuitions about like moral claims and still come to different conclusions. Well, we actually don't see that kind of thing related to the basic moral norms or the standard moral norms like unaliving, theft, rape. We don't actually see that people tend to have different intuitions on that. And like I think
It's okay, bro. He's just hitting the
I
whiteboard on his way
lit.
out to like ponder his losses. It's good.
I lit, bro. I don't lit, bro. Lit is my favorite fraud, by the way. But I just want to say that
Someone sent the music gift. Hold on, bro. Just let that sit in.
I'm not gonna lie, Free. We don't care, bro. No, I love you, Free, but like, just wrap it up, Genki. Wrap it up.
Hi, Flo. I know you want to debate this guy, bro. I got you, man.
Beautiful.
But
Thank
anyways.
You. So, like I was trying to say, hey, yo, game. So what,
dude.
You just said you
just
got
give me
me.
one last thing, bro. I got you, man.
Oh my god.
Anyways, and yeah, the last thing about the what was it called? The overall conclusion. Nothing about the future valuable experiences, at least related to my view, was defeated. And if there's actually like going to be like a debate on abortion where I actually do get to hold my positions, I would actually love that. Thank you guys.